The ongoing issue of living the ongoing issue of living rurally in Oklahoma is the internet is going down the road, going to visit a buddy of mine up north, 2 hours away from the Homestead, and I've been lacking on the videos for the just even on the tiny house build with everything lately. It's been cold, so there's been extra projects to do. They're trying to get things ready for that, and now we're calling for some snow tomorrow, and the forecast seems like it's anywhere from 2 inches to 8 inches, and we'll just have to see how that falls, literally. Little update on the tiny house project. I got all the electrical roughed in. I did bring in some help with the electric. Gave me somebody else that I'd just be able to bounce questions off of as I'm working on it, and it made the work go quicker. Those guys do it every day. I've worked with that crew several times on multiple projects. I use them. I subcontract them when I need help, and but then I've had them come out and help me with several projects on my own homestead, especially with the solar system, where it's easier to have more than one person that knows what's going on. So they came, helped me get all the electric roughed in. Still finishing up some plumbing. I've got all my drain lines ran, and I have all of my vent lines ran. Got all of that set, and in hindsight, I will definitely do things different in the future. But all the lines are tied together underneath and to the edge of the house or the crawl space underneath. And so now we'll go ahead and excavate and get the 4-inch line for the septic system carried on out. In hindsight, when you're building a house like this or whatever, or the next one that I do, I will lay all of my drain plumbing, all my septic and all that, as soon as my foundation is set, before I put on my subfloor, I think is how I'll do it next time. And that'll just give me I don't know, man, work underneath that crawl space. It's like, I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but trying to get underneath there and lay 3-inch pipe, 4-inch pipe. Hey guys, and lay that and get all the fittings lined out. And I am not a huge fan of the primer and glue, so being in that confined space like that, it's a freaking killer. It gives me a headache. Not a fan. So next time I will definitely run all my drain lines as soon as I have my subfloor foundation in, and then I'll tie them in from there on. I'm trying to keep up with the chat, but I'm also driving, so if you have a question, put it in all caps, and I'll get to it to the best of my ability. I'm not going to be able to type or anything like that. So we got drain line plumbing's in, vent pipe is up. That's another thing. If I'd have known now, or known then what I know now, I didn't realize that there were these valves that you could put in the wall for the vents, and that you don't have to carry your vents all the way up through the roof like a traditional home. That's always been an argument of mine. I never understood why people carried and put extra holes in their roof. So come to find out that there's actually a valve that you can put in the wall of for the drain, and then it'll allow air to escape, so that way your drain line still works. And just buddy, that's very unfortunate for you, Ball Master Flex. So the vent line, I would not have done it the way that I did. I had some PVC delivered from a local building supply. They don't charge much. They charge like $15 to deliver. Not a big deal, right? Got the pipe out of there on the ground. I was looking at it, and I paid like $100 and some change, over $100 a stick for 4-inch PVC, Schedule 40. Well, I end up at Home Depot picking up some parts for another project, and see that 4-inch PVC there is does it come out to be 1/3 of the cost? So I had the building supply take back their 4-inch, and I picked up what I needed from Home Depot. I'm all for supporting small business and local business as best I can, but I cannot afford to pay 3 times minimum the price to carry on this project. So I really don't mind the comments down there. Like, yeah, you can keep them up because that just helps the algorithm, so it's not hurting my feelings at all. So just keep them flowing there, buddy. Excuse me. So plumbing's done, electrical's roughed in. I have begun getting the insulation up. So I've got about half the house insulated right now. I still need to run my supply plumbing lines to the bathroom. Well, everywhere really. I've got my inlet coming in from what will be the water pump house on the outside of the house. That's where my my water pump and pressure tank will be coming in. So that I've got all that ran, but I do not have my supply line splitting off from that 1-inch inlet. So I'll still have to take my 1-inch inlet and split that up to provide to the kitchen sink, the washer machine, the hot water heater, the shower, and the vanity sink. So I've got those to do still yet. I did go ahead, we did an external breaker box on the house, a little bit cheaper, allowed for a little bit more wall space, and since the house is small anyways, we're looking at like, under 700 square feet, including the loft. So did the breaker box on the outside of the house, and got the, let me think here. Put the breaker box on the outside of the house. Okay, and so from there I ran enough line wire to come off of that main breaker box and go out to the corner of the house where we will have basically an RV pedestal, which, if you're creative, will also be a place that you could inlet generator power in a grid down situation. But main reason is it comes out, goes to the corner of the house, and that way we could somebody could back an RV up there and have a 50 amp, a 30 amp, and 2 110 outlets on the corner of the house. That's also the corner of the house where the septic system is. So we will have, I'll have a tie-in where they could go ahead and hook up the drain line off their RV to the septic system. So that'll have a place to be able to park an RV and be full hookups. And then I'll put a hydrant on that corner of the house as well. So they'll have water, septic, and electric for an RV right there on the edge of the house. So if they got family members or they're just looking for extra space, that'll be a thing. That is something I definitely wish I'd have done on my current residence, and something that's on the list for the future to get done. Let's see, what else we got for electric? Okay, so I was going to do all propane or gas appliances. Changed my mind on that. We're pulling a 200 amp service to a 600 square foot house. There is no reason that I need to waste the time, energy, and money to run gas line all throughout the house for a gas stove, heater, hot water heater, and dryer. So we are just going to do everything full electric, and that will allow, for the simplest of things, that will allow where somebody could either do a backup generator for a grid down or do solar. And with the crawl space that's there and everything, it is not a big deal. If somebody wants to add gas, it's not a huge deal. But I have to find this happy medium between building things how I want them to be and would want them to be, and how it needs to be in order to be economical. Like when I did my house, I have an electric dryer plug, and then below that I have propane. I ran my electric dryer until the elements started going out, and now I have a gas heater, a gas clothes dryer. So, I can't afford to do that in every home, and a lot of people don't care. This will be nice where if somebody's coming up, they don't have to worry about whether propane got delivered, or whether they're out of gas, or whether the wood is dry enough to have a wood stove go. They can add all of that if they like. It'll be something different there, but we've got the electric. The insulation tonight or tomorrow. Well, it'll probably be tomorrow. I'll finish up most of the insulation tomorrow. I'm going to run my supply plumbing lines through the walls. That's on books for tomorrow. Tomorrow being Thursday. Just day, so we'll hang sheet on Monday. It's another one of those things. Those guys are super quick. I would love to learn how to do sheetrock. Just now was not the time to learn how to do it. So they're going to come hang the sheetrock on Monday, and the guy's supposed to come finish the sheetrock texture around the corners and all of that on Tuesday. And then I will start on my ceiling, which will be tongue and groove pine. I'll put that. I might start next week while they are doing the sheetrock. I'm just going to have to see how that goes. So the update on the tiny house and where we're at with that, or where I'm at with that. My little brother's been helping me in the evenings, gives him a little bit of extra income and stuff to do. So he's been working on that. In fact, he's running the excavator right now, digging the electric line while I'm gone. All right. So now I'm going to kind of set in the storm, and now we're going to get snow starting late tomorrow. Sorry, late morning tomorrow is what they're showing right now, and that's all subject to change with the snow. I don't know. We could get 2 inches. We could get nothing. There's always that possibility, or we could get 8 or so. I don't know. It kind of, we might get some ice on Saturday night. So Sunday morning was pretty chilly. The wind was really blowing. I think wind chill outside, I don't want to misspeak, but I want to say it was like 17 degrees, if I remember right, on Sunday morning. And it just had like that eerie feel when you walked outside. I don't know if it's the barometric pressure or what. When I walked outside, I came back in and told my wife, I'm like, it just feels sketchy out. I don't know how else to explain it. We lost power Sunday morning at about 9 o'clock or so. Went out to the yard and threw the switch to put us on solar, and then we operated on solar just fine. I was able to run the well pump, the microwave, coffee maker. My wife was running her hair straightener, so none of that was an issue. The only time I had an issue with the solar, I was trying to run the coffee maker and the microwave, and my wife was straightening her hair all at the same time. So I got a line. I got 2 cables, 2 wires I need to tie together on those inverters, and Signature Solar says that'll fix that issue. Basically, it's going to make them share a common L1 and L2, respectively, to each inverter. I just haven't gotten to that part yet. Another thing I haven't gotten to is getting the solar shed insulated. So right now I've got foam panels, like foam 1-inch panels around the battery bank, which is 6 of the server rack 48 volt 100 amp hour batteries. I think they're 5120 watts a piece, so put you at like just over 30 kilowatts, call it like 30.5 kilowatts of battery storage. But those lithium batteries do not like the cold. In fact, they will shut down. So I took my my Vatra 100 amp hour, 12 volt battery that I did a review on here a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago now. I took it out there. It was still at 99% state of charge. I set up my Chinese diesel heater, which I bought years ago. That thing has been fantastic. I set it up, pointed the ductwork there at the battery bank, left it on high, and it ran for about 8 hours on that tank of fuel, and ran me down to, I think it was at 80% state of charge on the battery at that time after 8 hours. Went back in, filled it up with fuel again, and this time I changed it. I put the diesel heater down on low, and it ran like 12 hours on the low setting. Only used half a tank of fuel, and had only used up another 10% of my state of charge on the lithium battery. So that's a really feasible option for some emergency heat going into the solar shed. And it's heating an entire 20-foot container, 20-foot shipping container that is uninsulated. That little Chinese diesel heater is keeping it very manageable on the lowest setting. I brought in all my other batteries, all of my Milwaukee batteries, Craftsman, whatever else I've got, my EG4 12-volt batteries. I brought all those into the office building. They're all topped off and charged in case we do lose power with the snow. So I've got those all set aside. That's kind of been a prep, just having things lined out. Disconnected all the garden hoses from the hydrants so that they could all allow the water to bleed out of the hydrants and not have any airlock there where the hydrants froze up. I've been putting getting the fire going in the wood stove in the greenhouse in the evenings. So I'll fill it up and get it started, maybe 7, 8 o'clock when it really cools down. It was like showing 38 degrees in there last night when I got the wood stove going. And then I went to work back on the tiny house for a few hours. I came back at midnight and filled it with just rounds. I mean, no split wood, just packed it full of rounds. And that way it could, it's slow burn through the night. Woke up this morning, went out there, and it still had coals in there. And I think by the time I got out there, it was like 10 o'clock or so. So I'm not really trying to heat the greenhouse right now. I'm more or less just doing excuse me, just doing some, I don't know, maintenance heat, if you will. Just trying to keep water lines from freezing and stuff out there. So I've got the fish tanks and all of that. So that's worked out all right. The quail and the chickens are in their new pen out in the garden. I've been throwing them some scratch. Their water's been falling out in the day, so I've not been too stressed over that. And they've got, I think one pen's got 80 pounds of feed, and the other one's got 50. So they've been in good shape. Still feeding them water and the cats and dogs inside the shipping container, which is like the feed shed is what we call it, over there by the walk-in cooler. And so my pressure tank for my main cistern coming up from, it's a bobcat out in the middle of the day. It's 4:30 in the afternoon, and there was a bobcat walking across the road. Main cistern, okay. So you've been down there if you've seen my water filtration videos for my rainwater system. What I did down there, I need to do another video on, I suppose, just a brief walkthrough. But I have insulated all them with, I ran heat tape along the lines, and then I went over top of that with insulation, the pipe insulation. And then let me think here. I used some of that foam 1-inch board. I just used my pocket knife and cut it where I need it, broke it into pieces, and set that around around my water filters because I do not want those busting. And then I also built like a little hut with those foam panels around my pressure tank and my pressure switch. My pressure switch is the main thing I have freeze. And so I'm hoping that I've avoided that this year. Having several days of below freezing is typically when that catches up with me. It causes that switch to freeze. So far, we've had several days below freezing and have not had an issue. So we're going to continue riding that out, and hopefully we keep the issues to a minimum on that. What else do we have? Let's think here. I'll think of it here in a minute, maybe. Oh, okay. So I dropped a water pump down in my cistern and plugged it in. It is not. It's not hooked up to anything. It is just in the cistern, just to keep water flowing. So that's it. It's just to keep the water moving, and that should keep my cistern from freezing up. So that was one of the main things I did this year that's different from the past. Typically I don't do that. We end up in a week of sub-freezing temperatures, and we end up having to point the diesel heater at the cistern tank. So, all right, I'm coming up on a spot where I am going to lose service. So when I do, then I guess the stream is over, and that was that. I appreciate all of y'all for tuning in, and if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll check them out afterwards. But that's been pretty well the gist of what we've got going on the rainwater system, and just trying to keep the place prepped for the winter weather that we've got. This isn't really normal for Oklahoma per se. So just us to get in this kind of weather, to be below freezing for this long, and the snow is all kind of a, I don't know, I wouldn't say new thing, but it's just not something. It's not like we're on the East Coast or up in the Northeast or north where we deal with this all the time. So with that being said, hopefully I've got everything in order to make this work out, and if not, then I guess I will find out soon enough, and I will share those experiences with y'all. But out of all the times having dealt with this stuff, I think I've got everything under control for what I normally deal with for this. So, all right, guys, we will catch up with y'all next time. Thank you very much for your time, and if you like the lives, then let me know, please, because that's not my norm. And as much as I've wanted to toy around with the idea of doing it on the other, while I'm at the tiny home and working on stuff, the internet there does not allow for it, and so that has made it's made my videos lack here lately. So, all right, folks, y'all have a good evening. We'll catch up with you next time, and all right, Mountain Wizard out. See ya.